You're listening to Two Beers Until Phronesis, a philosophy podcast for students, graduates, and anyone else interested in ideas. Alongside regular guests and friends, we discuss some of life's big questions over a few beers. Enjoy. Anyway, guys, Halloween. It's nearly
Spooky
here.
time.
What do you mean? It is here because the episode's probably already come out.
Yeah, you can't let people behind the curtain like that. We've got to maintain the illusion that we're organised. Okay. No, yeah. So it's a few weeks before Halloween. What are you guys going to do for Halloween? Do you celebrate it at all?
I mean, I get drunk and wear a moderately spooky costume.
I think that's what everyone does.
So it's just put a costume on over a regular week, to be honest.
What about you, Joe?
I've been known to go to the occasional party, but my outfits are usually very last minute, and it's basically a jacket. And then I'm like, I'm this person who wears this jacket.
I remember in first year when you showed up in a red jacket and a pizza box, and he was Fry from Futurama.
Yeah, I got an Iceland pizza.
Yeah.
Walked around with it. I'm like, obviously quite, look at me, I'm Fry. And everyone's like, oh yeah. And, yeah, it's
Did
very.
you have a name badge saying Fry on it as well?
Yeah, printed off.
Yeah, nice.
Name badge. Put maximum effort into that one.
Oh, when I say spooky costume as well, like, for example, last year I wore a pilot costume. It's not spooky. It's just not what I'd usually wear. So it's a total cop-out, but...
Oh. Yeah. I always try and do some kind of party. I realise it's like the first year in 6 years I haven't actually fucking...
I was going to say, where's my invite?
I know. I normally invite you, you don't turn up. But,
The sass there.
He was rubbing lotion in his legs. He couldn't help me, sorry.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like we all have this massive thing, increasingly in the last sort of 10 years in the UK, where we've started to suddenly do Halloween more, because we didn't really do Halloween before that, at least to my knowledge. I don't think it was really a thing with our parents' generation.
I mean, no, not in the parents' generation. It's an American thing, really, isn't it?
And it's kind of
really, it's a Celtic thing. It's an Irish-Scottish thing.
So, Nye, I understand you're the only person that's done reading for this.
I read about it for like 15 minutes. I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, this is like an American holiday. And yes, much of the commercialization of it and whatever is very American. I think the whole trick-or-treating thing was an evolution that came from America. Right. But like originally, it was like a pagan.
Well, I know it's
holiday.
Christian, isn't the Celtic stuff?
It was actually pagan before that. But it was one of those things where the Christians went, oh, we kind of want to convert people, so we'll take.
But it's a tenuous link, isn't it? It's like to be like Christmas.
Yeah, so basically they invented a Christian holiday it's like All Saints Day, which is November the 1st, because that sort of marks the end of harvest, beginning of winter, that sort of thing. And there was already this pagan festival or pagan thing in Ireland called the Samhain. And it was basically, which is another word, which is like, I think, Celtic for the word October or something, or November. I don't remember exactly. But yeah, it was just basically like this idea that it's the end of harvest, it's the beginning of winter, and they sort of had this idea that spirits would sort of rise from the dead or whatever on this day.
And you got to think, like, the absence of shit like light bulbs, it would have been literally getting a lot fucking darker, a lot colder, and these kind of festivals...
So you mean spookier?
I wasn't going to use the word spooky, yeah. It's interesting you say it was invented, though. It kind of implies that Christians, in inverted commas, just, all of them somehow, just got together and decided to paint over.
It's sort of like started with the Celts that's festival, and then the Christians went, oh, how can we get them to join Christianity? Oh, we'll invent another festival called All Saints Day, which was originally called which ended up being called like Hallowmass or whatever, and then basically the Samhain festival became Hallow Eve, so it was the day before All Saints Day, which was the 1st of November.
Yeah, I think that's the narrative I go with, that these things are kind of organic. They kind of grow out of each other. It's not a case of literally just writing up. Although you do kind of see that with I don't know if you've ever been to like an old pagan site, and there'll always be a chapel on top where they've kind of erased that element of culture to make way for a new one. But I think it's kind of an element of both. I think we kind of overgeneralize a lot with these festivals and kind of say, oh, well, Christians intentionally erased the pagan stuff before, as if like people didn't no, people were just going to forget that Christmas was a pagan thing before. It's like, I don't think that was really the case.
You could argue that, I mean, Christmas isn't really a pagan thing. It's more just like there was a pagan thing celebrating the winter solstice, and then sort of, you know, Christians modified it and sort of almost changed it into something else. But it's not it's not like the same thing anymore. But it is like, yeah, essentially an evolution, or like, well, not really an evolution because it didn't really. It's just more just let's steal that, and hopefully they go, oh, it's the same holiday. I can just convert to Christianity now without any problems.
Do you guys know any other similar festivals to Halloween in other religions? Because
the spookiest one I can think of is the Day of the Dead, but that's still like, yeah,
that's still
it's not like
still
intentionally spooky.
South American Christian, yeah.
It's a more of a respectful.
Well, there's similar things
what I mean?
in Hinduism, and it's interesting. They always kind of fall in the same year. A lot of Hindus have kind of gone, okay, well, we don't really see a problem with celebrating sort of Western Halloween because it's very similar to a lot of the rituals and festivals that we already have. Kind of honors the same things. I think a lot of immigrants that are of different religions tend to see these festivals like Halloween and Christmas and Easter as probably more religious than we do. They kind of see it through this lens. Like I'm reading a lot of articles from like the Muslim perspective, which is just like Halloween is just the worst fucking thing. Don't celebrate it.
Why is that specifically?
It's because of obviously it's a Christian thing. And they don't really want to tie in too much with these kinds of things. Like Christmas is a slightly controversial for Muslims and stuff, more so than it is with Jewish families, I think. Whether that's a recent thing or not, I don't think it's inherent within Islam to completely deny celebration of other festivals, but I think in the current climate it certainly can be a problem. But then I think there's also the commercialized Western secular edge that they reject. The whole like, you know, I'm going to dress as a slutty cat and go to a house party.
Yeah,
I think that's
you did look really good when you dressed as a slutty cat.
Thank you. No, but I think there's that. I don't know. I don't, but I think that's really just getting the wrong end of the stick with what it is. I think the same with Christmas. I don't think Christmas is really a Christian festival anymore, and I don't think Halloween. I've never seen Halloween through that lens. I've only ever seen it, if anything, through that very commercial lens. I was quite cynical of Halloween, other than the excuse to have a party.
I mean, I think my answer to what are you doing for Halloween kind of summed it up. Is like, I'm going to go drinking in a costume. There is no religious or, you know, pagan significance to that whatsoever. And I think that's how a lot of people in the modern day see Halloween, which, you know, by no fault of their own, that's just commercialization, what it's done to it.
Yeah, because I mean, originally it was the reason why there's the whole dressing up and costumes and whatever is because it's sort of essentially street performing, and for some reason, like Halloween became associated with like dressing up in these weird masks and like often children dressing up and then like performing street performances, which could be music, singing, whatever, reading poetry, and then people would give them like these weird cakes, which hopefully I've got written down, soul cakes.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah, so they'd go around knocking on
Wikipedia.
doors asking for soul cakes and whatever, which are like weird little pastries. And I think that evolved, and when the Irish sort of moved over to America, particularly the Irish and Scottish influence, that's when the holiday really became an American
Yeah,
thing.
I've read that it's very much Irish.
Right, and then by the 1930s, it was like there was the sort of idea of going out, this guising thing evolved into almost kids pretty much rioting people's houses, to the point where in America it was like this big menace where people would just like terrorize property in order to get sweets, and it sort of became this almost like holding people to ransom. What was originally the whole soul cake thing was give me sweets or we're gonna, you know, ruin your lawn or whatever.
I think in an American context, Halloween is seen a lot differently. And I think trick or treating is like a much stronger element. Have you ever been trick or treating?
I've never been.
I've been
no.
once.
Oh, you wouldn't go because you live on a fucking farm.
Yeah, like one, I can't, and two, my parents hate it, so you know, I never did when I was little.
I think I agree with them. Yeah. So you went once.
Yeah.
How was that?
I remember enjoying it. I was like, I think about 7 or 8.
Did some cunt give you an apple, or did you get proper sweets?
No, we got proper sweets.
Nice.
I went. My parents had the hindsight or foresight of going to my rich friend's area.
Nice.
I mean, I was going to say, you live in
Yeah.
Birmingham. That's fucking brave going
Yeah.
trick-or-treating.
I know, but we went to a posher area,
Yeah, I understand.
and the sweets were full-sized, and I stole everyone's sweets by the end of the night.
Well, when I used to go, it used to be around in groups. Because it would usually coincide with like a friend's sleepover or party, and they would kind of organise groups and stuff, and so everyone was safe. Do you get many trick-or-treaters where you live?
Not at all.
I don't think I do anymore.
As a student, did you get any?
I think maybe 2 a
Yeah.
year, something like that.
I didn't get any at all. You
No, I
you
had a
bought
couple.
sweets and stuff.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
I didn't get any.
No, I'm not opposed to giving out sweets, but I never have any in because I like chocolate. I don't like sweets. I'm not giving them my fucking chocolate. So
Connor's not
Fuck off, kid.
Yeah, I think we had kids knock at the door a few times. We just ignored them.
how on your farm? How,
Yeah,
how-
No, not on
how
the farm.
were they
This
up
was,
there?
at, this was at uni, when I was at uni.
Oh right, yeah.
I was going to say.
We've travelled
It took us about
miles,
15
sir.
minutes to
Yeah,
drive
no,
up to a farm,
it's
man.
not. Yeah, it's not worth the drive for those. For some fucking onions or whatever the hell.
Please,
You know.
sir.
You can have half a leek.
Yeah, you can have a potato. Yeah, so I mean, like nowadays, I wrote down this stat. In America, Halloween generates up to it's like a $6 billion industry, which is mad. $6 billion. So it's the second biggest.
Where's the money coming from? Is that like
Sorry, that's from
merchandise?
people
And
buying and
right.
merchandise and all that. Sort
Yeah,
of
well,
thing,
I mean-
Halloween stuff.
When I do these parties, I tend to buy lots of fucking spooky lights. I try and get it for free because there was a party at the SU and I managed to take a few bits and pieces. But yeah, I will. It's one of those things when I will actually buy things new, like fucking cobwebs and stuff. Those cobwebs are really good. They're like £1.
yeah, but just don't clean your house. You get them for free.
That's true, actually. I should.
Then you get spoders as well.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
extra
spook.
spook, isn't it? Yeah.
Too spook
Yeah.
for
Oh, that
me.
spider looks real. Yeah.
So I think I know the answer to this, but to avoid embarrassment, what is the significance of a pumpkin or a jack-o'-lantern, if we're going to talk about the Americans?
Well, so I think originally that was from, they used to, as part of the guising thing, part of the holiday, because the whole macabre sort of history of it, they used to carve turnips, I think.
Yeah.
It was like
Right.
turnips and make faces out of like vegetables and whatever, in like sort of scary, spooky ways, and then put them out. Because, it was like, the celebration of spooky crap. Even back then, it was like, the dead are rising, whatever. And so there was just lots of spooky stuff. So I think that's where it came from. I'm not 100% sure, but at least that's what they were originally doing, and how that evolved into pumpkins, I'm not entirely
Well,
sure.
they probably thought these turnips are too good to waste, but these pumpkins, who wants to eat that?
Yeah, no one eats pumpkins, so it's just one of those. It's just surplus shit, isn't it? It's just a big orange vegetable that no
Well, I
one's
mean,
gonna
we
eat.
make pumpkin soup out of it every year because it's just because the amount of wastage.
Do you
is just,
enjoy
like,
it, though?
mad.
I-
It's all right.
I-
It's actually okay.
I've never
If
had
you make
pumpkin
it-
soup.
I
That's
tried
really
feeding.
good.
I tried
It's
feeding it
okay.
to the birds, but they don't seem to like it.
You,
They're
you have
supposed.
to cook it. That's the point. It's
Yeah, but they're supposed to like pumpkins, but they didn't. Yeah, and the seeds and stuff as well. But yeah, I tried making pumpkin fucking beer or something with it once.
Oh, God, why?
no.
Just again, like Nye said, not to waste it, but didn't really work. Tasted it.
I could have told you that.
I say it didn't really work. It was shit.
Because obviously, like one of the big criticisms of Halloween is that it's just such a waste.
So
of
much
food.
waste,
Like,
yeah.
it's a huge amount of waste.
Food?
Like, Christmas is probably worse. but-
You mean just specifically in
like
terms
just
of pumpkin?
literally just like pumpkins. Pumpkins are bad enough. Like we don't even have to talk about like the other stuff. It's just like pumpkins. The
I
amount
mean,
of
you
waste.
get a waste of plastic and stuff like that. I mean, now in the age where plastic is a big fucking problem, and like everybody's got plastic bone men hanging in the house and shit like that. Like,
Oh, I was waiting for Bowman to come out.
but that's the kind of stuff that you just throw away after using it. I mean, I don't know if I'm just the prick that throws it away and everybody else keeps it. But
I keep it.
You throw it directly into the ocean.
I mean, to be honest, I don't buy it. But
fly tip it.
He travels specifically to that big fucking island the size of Texas. He dumps it right in the middle of there.
yeah, I fly out to the Pacific Ocean, add to that little island of trash they've got.
Flies very
I
well.
love it.
Wow, shit.
Anything
when
else?
you talked about food waste, I thought like buffets.
Yeah,
Like,
I
no
thought.
buffets are going to waste. When Joe's there.
when you're about, yeah.
Well, anyway, do you think? Yeah, I think going back to the whole pumpkin thing. Obviously, that's evolved from something that people would have to hand to something that's pretty much artificially made just to prop up this. I don't know. I guess it's quite an artificial festival. It seems quite arbitrary.
Well, I mean, what surprised me is it does still kind of have somewhat of the spirit of what it originally was. In the sense, it's this like spooky, macabre thing.
It does, but on the side of that, it's created an entire industry around growing fucking pumpkins.
Exactly, and then it just the US and the West in general just took it way too far.
So I don't know. I don't know if the commercialism is a byproduct of contemporary times or whether it's specifically like the essence of Halloween. I don't know if any of the essence is still remaining and what that essence is, because the only reading I did was a fucking article from like Psychology Today, because it's basically the only thing I could find, but it was kind of alluding to the societal benefits of Halloween in general and the kind of social functions it performs. The obvious one is like I guess like flirting at parties and stuff is like a big part of it. It's a ritual in that sense, but also you've got like the kind of what we're
Resident expert on flirting at parties right here.
No, I think that's Nye fucking spilling wine on people.
Classic.
But that was actually at one of my Halloween parties as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, the other thing it does is it kind of takes things that are spooky but kind of dresses them down into funny costumes and jokes, essentially. So what we're doing is kind of playing out a kind of demasculating horror itself to try and feel more in control. I think there's maybe something to that. The idea of
Well, in a way, that's kind of exactly what they used to do as well, though.
Yeah.
1,000 years ago,
But,
it was about trying to gain control over these what they thought were ghosts rising back up from the dead.
Exactly, but
this idea of winter's coming and the death.
Yeah, but that would have had more of a tangible idea. Like back then, that would have been more of a tangible concept because people would have actually believed it. People don't believe it anymore. So I don't know. Is it pure escapism now? Is it just in a sense, like with the whole horror movie stuff, I think it's an exercise in building resilience to some degree. But then I think resilience to what? Because we don't believe in spooky bone men anymore.
Well, Connor, I hate to break this to you, mate, but inside one of all of us, there is a spooky bone man.
You're talking about how
Could you sound less tired if you tried?
Hi, Connor.
Energy levels, come on, guys.
You said that you were taking a cynical approach to Halloween, right? Because you don't see any like religious thingamabobs about it.
I don't see any religious thingamabobs.
What's the difference between that and Christmas is my point.
I think the essence of Christmas is still valuable if you're secular, if you're an atheist. I don't think you would have to believe in otherworldly things for the impact of Christmas to make sense, because it's not about otherworldly things in its new secular context. It's about spending money.
To quote Carrie Fisher, it's about family. That's what matters.
Exactly. It's The Last Jedi. It's about family, which is a film that's not about family at all.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about fucking...
Who knows what that fucking film's about?
It's about
lightsabers!
It's about fucking porgs.
Oh, Jesus.
But,
green milk.
Well, do you not think the things that apply to Christmas might apply to Halloween?
So this is what I was saying. I think this idea of building resilience to horror, to...
But I mean, more broadly, just like the idea of coming together with people and just having an excuse
so that's why I do the parties, but I don't think that's quite the point of Halloween.
Has it evolved into that, though?
I think it's evolving into that, but I think there's still like this... It's just this massive focus on horror. But I'm not sure if horror and like communal gatherings mix. I think they're starting to, because I think people are just laughing off horror now. So it's basically just escapism.
Speak for yourself. Still get scared?
Well, I don't know. I'll get scared at certain horror films. I don't know. Like ghost films don't really do it for me anymore. But yeah, psychological thrillers. I watched fucking Aronofsky's Requiem for a Dream.
Oh, that is.
A part of me is still there watching it. That fucking damaged me.
Fucking heavy.
For the audience, Connor is staring out into the middle distance now, like a war veteran.
I showed it to my dad, and he was like, "It's hard watching it." I was like, "Yeah, that's right." Yeah, he's like, "That scene where they're high and it like the camera's moving too fast did my head in." It's like, no. It's like, the ending. It's an exploration into loneliness and despair. was right.
I've not seen it.
Weren't too bad. I got through it. I was like, no, it's fucking it's hard
The
shit.
West Country,
it's
man.
really heavy shit.
Darren Aronofsky is extremely pretentious, but that film is brilliant. To be fair,
It is. It's
Like-
incredible. And it's bleak as fuck. But it's not something I want to watch again.
yeah,
Well, with things like Mother though, Mother is just too allegorical. It's just
yeah.
like,
Well, I think it's just too on the nose.
Yeah,
It's trying to be like, oh, it's subtext or whatever, but it's not subtle in any
it's
way.
not, well, it's not
just like,
subtext. It's the
Yeah.
subtext is suddenly halfway through become the fucking pretext. I don't know what you call it. But
Well, the main plot. Yeah,
it's
in
the
a
plot.
way, yeah.
It's like it's this allegory for the fall of man and everything in the
Mother
Bible.
nature and whatever. Yeah,
But I mean, is it?
Is that the one where they eat a baby?
They eat, but yeah, they eat a baby. It's just like, but the way it's cut, it's like, yeah, we get it. It's Jesus. So I'm not convinced that there's a baby because I'm not watching a plot play out. I'm actually watching, I'm watching imagery kind of play out. There's literally people called Adam and Eve and stuff. So I'm like, well, I know this doesn't feel real. Is there actually someone called Adam and Eve?
I don't remember.
I think there's the Cain and Abel bit where the brothers come and fight. It's just like, oh, I get what you're doing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like there's lots of like very on the nose
Yeah.
Bible stuff. And you're like, it doesn't have to be that obvious to be like, okay, I get it. You
Yeah.
know,
There's-
well
there's-
done.
but there's-
And also, he's not really commenting on anything that much. It's just kind of like the comment is so in your face, like,
Yeah.
mankind bad and rape Mother Nature and Bible, but it's not. Whatever. Why are we talking about Darren Aronofsky anyway?
Well, it's horror films.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, well, so there's this thing called the paradox of horror, same as the paradox of tragedy. Why do we enjoy watching tragic things? Why do we enjoy watching horrific things or horrifying things?
Have you got a favourite horror film?
Yeah, I think it's Alien. I think. John, I actually rate Terminator as a horror film as opposed to an action film. The original, the first Terminator.
I watched it recently and it's a bit outdated now.
Mm.
The first time I watched it, I was like, oh yeah. But second viewing, third viewing, I'm just like, just get to the sequel. Skip the boring stuff.
I prefer it because you got a bloke instead of a Terminator. Like the liquid metal thing, it's really cool, special effects wise, like groundbreaking. But it's just like it's.
Yeah, but I think the second film is just an entirely different film, though. That's the thing. It's like he changed everything about what he was approaching with the second film, the first one. That's why it's such a great sequel. I think it changes what the first one was more about. It was more a love story. It was like a horror story with this love story embedded in it.
Yeah.
And the second one is a story about family, and it's a family, but it changed from horror to thriller. And it's like it's not to compare them is a bit strange because they're kind of different films. But he took the principal elements of the first film and just sort of ramped them up and changed the theme.
Well, I think it is very comparable, same as Aliens is to Alien. It's like
It's cool explosions as well.
It's following the same plot beats and whatever. Like I think there's enough in common to compare them fairly. Because I generally don't compare films, but with sequels by the same director, I would. Like,
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm
They
actually
can't stop
really
the second
freaked out
one.
by the stop motion Terminator at the end when it's
Oh,
not.
the Stan
'Cause
Winston.
it's so,
Yeah.
like jittery and
Yeah,
It is jarring to
yeah,
watch.
it's like
isn't it?
fucking Jason and the Argonauts, but it's suddenly like really fucking terrifying, and it like obviously as Sarah Connor as a protagonist is like fucking great because she's and the same with Kyle Reese. Kyle Reese isn't like this buff action hero like Jai Courtney is trying to be in the fucking reboot pre-sequel C-boot
Yeah, we
whatever
don't
the
talk
fuck it
about
is.
those, yeah.
But why would you make him buff? It's the future where everyone's fucking like hungry.
Some
Kyle
jealousy
Reese,
there, isn't there?
Kyle Reese is like he's wiry. He's fucking like he's a short fucking.
Well, I think the point is he's supposed to be like, look, people are fucking horribly malnourished and kind of fucked in the future.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
it's the whole like skin of your teeth kind of. Yeah, he's not this fucking. He's not He-Man.
I think I read somewhere that in World War II the best soldiers were shorter because they were less of a target.
I'd like that to be true because
So yeah,
I'm incredibly
so
short.
if everyone was like Arnold Schwarzenegger, they'd be shot.
Although I think there was a statistic for modern. Well, I'd have to look this up again because I'm literally.
Well, there must be.
There is a statistic somewhere which says that tall people are now more likely to survive, and I can't remember why.
It's because they're the ones controlling the drones. They're fine.
Yes, there's something
the ones
I don't
in
know what it
America.
was. Like in like Vietnam and stuff, tall people had a higher survival rate for. I can't remember why.
Is it because the short people were forced into the tunnels?
Yeah, I'd have to look that up again.
Surely
but
you'd
I remember
have
hearing that.
slightly more body strength on average if you were taller. Like, surely things like aiming and stuff has got to come into this. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's lots of physical stuff to do, isn't there? When you're on the battlefield, it's fairly physical activity.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bit of lifting.
yeah, little
little bit of walking.
Yeah.
Anyone else got a favourite horror film?
The Thing, John Carpenter. That's probably my favourite.
Mm.
You know, the effects work in that, and I think also I watched it when I was about 11 or 12, and obviously it was just like the most. I've never experienced what it was like watching that film at 11 or 12 ever again. Like the sheer horror, and I was just I couldn't look away, but I was so horrified by this film. It's just I still watch it. It just still holds up, and it's still just an amazing looking film.
Well, I remember when you were saying about the when they see I haven't actually seen the film all the way through, but 2001: A Space Odyssey with the obelisk, is it called?
Or the monolith.
Monolith, yeah. Yeah,
just that scene with the when you got this incredible choir score.
Because
The bit on the is it on the moon?
Yeah, the one on the moon is one of my favourite scenes ever.
Because you got
and then it just ends.
The sense of dread and the sense of
But it's just to me that's just the ultimate. It's not just like dread. It's like this existential unknown, like this completely unknowable.
No, mate, it's all about it's all about jump scares, and Paranormal Activity 7 is the best.
Yeah.
Did you like the first Paranormal Activity?
I did.
When I watched it, I liked it, but I haven't watched it since I was 15.
I was 13 when I watched it, and I did thoroughly enjoy it. It scared the absolute fuck out of me.
I just fucking hate jump scares.
I know it's just not really. It's atmosphere that. Did you like Insidious, the first one at least?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, because I remember we were really into that when when we used to do our séances. Have you ever done a séance?
Can't say I have.
No. Well,
I'd love to.
How much time we
Do you
got?
have a Ouija board?
we didn't make one once.
Did it work?
No, it didn't. Of course it didn't fucking work. It's bollocks.
Says the man who's held seances.
Yeah, I know. Well,
How drunk are you at the point of seance?
very, because what we used to do is a
Do
curry
you have a lot of
night.
spirits?
Anyway, we used to do. We used to get a
I'm happy
curry.
with that.
This is every Friday. It's fucking expensive. We used to get a curry.
The start of every good seance is a curry.
And, it was at my mate's
He did
house.
something to me. I don't know. I just started saying things.
It was at my mate's
Feel the
house.
spirits within me trying to get out.
And Joe Sanger, who comes on the podcast as well, he used to be part of it, and quite a few of the podcasters were they were present. We gave each other we gave each
Were
other.
they in the room or were they just present?
Yeah.
They were with you.
They were with us in spirit, but we would just kind of try out different things. We tried to take it like a pseudo scientific approach. We'd try and kind of note down the things that worked, the things that didn't.
When you say worked,
Well, we there was a lot of tapping and banging around the room. When you start holding hands and all chanting in unison, the invocation to get a spirit to come on. After you do that without giggling, it suddenly is oh shit, I'm ready to believe kind of thing.
Right, and not only that, but I think that also makes you hypersensitive to your
Yes,
environment
absolutely,
as well.
yeah.
which
when
can
that gets to
heighten-
halfway, we're fucking doing that, right?
All right, okay. Joe just held up a bottle of rosé.
Which is very close to halfway.
Mine's already
worryingly.
fucking gone because it's.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing. It's when you sort of do take it seriously. I think what's more interesting is noticing all the weird psychological effect that's having these sort of things
Absolutely,
can have,
yeah.
and stuff like the ideomotor effect, for example, where you can influence people's movement based on suggestion, or especially in very suggestible people, you can sort of manipulate them into really believing things or doing things without them even realizing it. That's how stuff like dowsing or water divining works. It works using stuff like the ideomotor effect, where you give them the sticks and they do subconsciously cross them because they know where to cross them.
Okay, the stick,
And
the
if they
stick
really
thing,
believe
yeah.
it and they're suggestible, they will literally cross it without, because the way the sticks are set up is the way you cross them is you barely tilt your hands. If you can psychologically suggest to someone to do that, it's so easy for them to do it that they can do it completely subconsciously and then genuinely believe that they didn't even notice that the sticks just did it themselves. And
there are ways, I think, to psychologically suggest things that aren't necessarily learned. I think some people are just naturally very good at it. You get that kind of ignorance as another factor. It's I'm genuinely not, trying to influence other people, but I do, and so I must be a psychic. You know, I must be kind of getting the
I
right
must
answers.
be.
You know.
I made that cup move. Did you see it? Oh my gosh.
But I think when mediums are trying to pry for questions and they get the right answers, it's like
They convince themselves.
Yeah,
in
and
a way,
and like, I can see how it's not just frauds. It genuinely is. They have some.
I would say though, like with the very good people who do the reading thing, often to actually do it really well, actually, be very good at it, other than just guessing well, it's like they actually have to be very good at reading people, and that what they're often doing is picking up on lots of things. Maybe they notice things in conversation, maybe they ask you, or they use stuff like Barnum statements, which we've talked about before, which is loading a proposition with like multiple contradicting points so that people see what they want to see in the statement. I know with like water divining, again, to bring that up, they actually often will just look
what
at
is water divining?
so that's, when you have these people come around with sticks and the sticks cross over water, so they walk around going, I know where water is underground, so like deep underground there'll be some water.
It's fucking everywhere.
It's the same thing as the sticks. Yeah,
Yeah,
there was a
water
Richard
divining.
Dawkins thing on that. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fucking mental.
And yeah, it's exactly the same thing where it's like often they will actually put in preparation that like they'll just go to the town council and find blueprints for like where water is underground and then convince people, and then people go, why does it work for me then? Why I don't know where the water is? And yet it's because they've already done it, they've showed you where it is, or like they've suggested to you where it is, and then because of the ideomotor effect you will do it yourself subconsciously without realizing, and things like this. So it's like there's all these sort of factors that go into it, but yeah, it's complete bollocks.
Well, my nan is a self-professed medium, and she'll go to people's houses and clean them like a cleaner. But
I was going to say like of the dark spirits.
No. She'll clean
Notice
it
some
of
cobwebs.
she'll clean it
pledge,
of kind of. And the way she would talk evocatively, and especially because I was quite young, about this dark side and the light, and it like the difference between poltergeists and demons and general spirits and things. I was probably until first year. I still held out a vague hope that these things were real, and now I kind of realize, it's kind of like with this. There's always a sense of order. There's always a sense of here's the light, here's the dark, and here's the meaning that you can detract from it as a person, as an observer, as a person who has a wider part in the universe. And I think that was the real kind of, that was what was holding me on to this for so long. But I with the seances and things, I think they were just kind of tongue-in-cheek largely. I mean, someone was the secretary. We never had any secretarial work to be done. Someone else was like Grand Warlock. Someone else was like Ghoul Tamer. That was quite a late addition. But like we'd
Tell
all
me you didn't all wear white hoods as well.
no, that was that.
I love the idea that you were writing down what scared you. Like, curry was nice, spooked me.
The morning was scary.
Yeah.
That naan bread had
spooky
something a
experience in
bit
the bathroom
ghostly about it.
Probably the spookiest thing happened was guy who owned the house, his dog came along and ate my naan. I was actually fucking fuming. It was a garlic keema naan, and I was fucking.
But his dog died 3 years before.
Oh no! What? Look, probably no. Genuinely, the spookiest thing that happened was this guy who had a demon in his house. Allegedly, had a vicar come round and I don't know, fucking get his cock out and wag it around or something. I don't know. Like what? I don't know what they do. It's always a vicar.
Not that
Isn't
we're
it?
offending anyone.
I just like what does a vicar do? How does a vicar?
Throw some water about on it.
Yeah.
Bit of that.
Okay. Well.
have you seen The Exorcist?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's
It's a documentary, isn't it?
yeah. That's like a good vicar. That's not like the vicar from the parish of fucking Little Woking.
Little Woking.
I don't know what that is, but
Near Big Woking.
but like he had a vicar around that apparently sorted it out.
He sorted it out.
This was our mate. So
Was he just trying to hide himself from coming out? So, the vicar was around because ghosts and nothing else.
no, it's,
Yeah, his parents were trying to hide an affair or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. I think it was just a combination of things like night terrors and things going missing and whatever, and it was pretty fucking intense from the description. I'd like to actually talk to him about it more because he came around and we basically just did this impromptu seance because the guy we normally targeted, some poor fucker called Gerald Stone, which was Joe's, not YouTube, but the other Joe that goes on the podcast. It was his uncle that had his great uncle that had just died So we were like, oh, let's just choose someone that's just died. So we found this thing on like an old blog site. It was like, what was it? So we bring you these gifts from life into death. And we'd always have like an offering. Generally, it'd be poppadoms. But like, there was a thing you had to say. We wanted to say it at once. If you got a new guy there, they would giggle the first couple of times, but then we'd do it. And generally nothing would happen. Yeah, it's fucking hilarious, to be fair. Like, you know, we just had a fucking madras, so you like, and like 2 pints, so you're a bit fucking, oh god, and you know you're fucking talking to ghosts, so you're a bit out of it. But like this guy, we tried to get this guy's demon or something, and then I think we chose like a different subject, like a different guy, and I think Kieran's like started mouthing off at the ghost, like, do you feel bad that you were an alcoholic or something?
Jesus.
And then we just heard like because it was just timing, but we just heard like all this banging around the room, like 3 different places within a matter of 2 seconds, just like doof, doof, doof. And that was the spookiest shit, and it was loud. It wasn't just like a creak; it was like doof, like 3 times. So yeah,
This is all done at night.
In the evening,
because there seems to be a significance of doing stuff in the dark.
Yeah, you can't fucking see shit. Yeah, it's just
spooky.
Unknown, yeah, spooky.
You can't see your next door neighbour dropping something down the stairs.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever had sleep paralysis or night terrors or anything like that?
Oh god, no.
No, I can recall.
Well, I've had like night terrors, yeah, especially when I was on like some weird fucking medication.
I mean, I used to have night terrors when I was about between the ages of 5 and 10, but I don't remember them happening. But my mum would describe it to me, and I'd just bolt upright in the middle of the night and sit up, look around the room, and then go back to sleep again. It used to scare the shit out of her, but I wouldn't remember anything. So
yeah, I think most people sleepwalk, and well, a lot of people sleepwalk and they don't realise that they do, because I never realised I did, and then I did, like when I came down and like spoke to my dad. I can't remember it at all, but I just stood there with my eyes closed, just talking to him.
That sounds terrifying.
Yeah, well, he was
terrifying.
Well, he was fine with it. He thought I was awake, just with my eyes closed, and it took him about 4 minutes to realise I was asleep, because I couldn't really hear him. I wasn't answering properly. But yeah, I had night terrors with I was on like fucking kooky ADHD medication.
Ritalin, basically.
That it wasn't Ritalin. It was an experimental drug, and it was
just pure cocaine.
It was horrible. Like the night terrors I had with that. I've never been just so fucking like terrified of nothing. It's just did you have them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The last one I was about 14 when the last time I had one.
That's quite
relatively old. Yeah. But yeah, I used to have full blast, like running around screaming night terrors, like really mad ones. But yeah, you just don't really remember them. I think the last one I remembered like the tail end of it very vaguely, and a lot of like the horrible thing about it is I remember it's almost like often they'll take the form of like everything feels like it would be made of needles. And it's like no other way to describe it. It's like every surface would become made of needles. And I would be trying to get away from everything that was made of needles, and it was that really weird. I can't.
So you were awake when this was?
No. When you're having the night terror, it's like you're completely mad, isn't it? You're like you're not conscious of what you're doing, and yet you're kind of conscious, but it's really hard to describe. You don't really remember it. You might remember like tiny bits of it, but it is like you're
is
just
it kind of the case
mad.
you're watching someone else experience it, but it's actually you experiencing it, so you're sort of present, but. Like not in
that's
control.
more like sleep paralysis.
I don't
know.
No, because sleep paralysis is where you're paralyzed essentially, but it's like you become conscious, but the part of your brain that basically switches off, paralyzes your body is still there. So that can lead to lots of like hallucinations because you're basically still in REM sleep. So you'll be sort of like hallucinating a lot as well, but you can't move, and that can be a really weird experience. You're sort of awake, you're still in like.
Oh,
a dream.
I did that once. I know. I think I was.
Yeah.
It's probably because I was ill, but I was. This was in like second year, but I was waking up and somebody came in the room. I can't even remember doing this, but I had my eyes open. I was going, get these fucking penguins off me. Genuinely, like, what the fuck is that penguin? Fucking get it off me. And they were like, what the fuck are you talking about, Connor? There's no, what, penguins? And I was just like, oh maybe, yeah, right. I just went back to sleep. But I had my eyes open, just like, looking at like around the bed, just like this fucking penguin. I was more annoyed than anything. Just like fucking penguins.
You've just been watching like Happy Feet or something.
Pinga or something. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I've never had sleep paralysis, but yeah, night terrors are pretty spooky. And you can see why, like, in the olden days, like sleep paralysis was what birthed the myth of the incubus and the idea of this thing sitting on your chest, like, because you'd wake up and couldn't move, and you'd probably hallucinate demons, and you'd think, oh, that's like the incubus coming.
Oh yeah, can I make an order for collection, please?
Yeah, just 1 minute, please.
Of course.
Okay, sir. What do you like to have?
Can I have a medium extravaganza,
Okay.
a medium ruin,
Okay.
a medium large, a large Friends Corner special,
Yeah.
and an extra large pizza.
Anything else, sir?
That's it. Thank you very much.
Okay, so the 4 pizza, 2 medium.
Yep.
The first one extravaganza, second one ruin.
Yep.
Then large French corner special,
Yep.
and the extra large meat pizza.
That's lovely. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. So that will be 26 pound altogether, sir.
Can we pay on collections? All right.
Yeah, no problem.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
So I'll just let you know. So it's 26 pound. I will see you in 15 minutes. Okay.
In a bit. Cheers.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye. We got pizza, boys.